It's got the light on the whole time, hasn't it? Okay, that's interesting. So I wanted to share with you some books that I bought and you know, been reading and such. And what I found is, you know, it can be hard to get a lot of free time to read books. I've got so many books that I've partly read, but really want to finish. And then I started to realize there was a series of books, which is by an author called Tom Butler-Bowdon. And what he's done is in each of his books, he's gone and found 50 books on a given subject and put them all together and like created this little summary that gets you just enough of information about each book to know whether it's something you really want to read. So one chapter might be, you know, maybe 8 pages or 7 pages in this, and you've basically got the essence of one book. So he's got one called 50 Prosperity Classics, and he's got, I might as well show you them all because I bought them all. I just thought this is such a good use of time. There's 50 Success Classics. And these classics, some of them are very old texts that you know might not really normally even know exist. Some are more modern, so they're kind of like classics in that they're of interest. That, you know, and he's amazing how he's just really summarised each of them. 50 Philosophy Classics. Okay. That's another one, and there's 50 Psychology Classics. Yeah. It's quite fascinating. You get to see such...
So like, who's some of the authors he's got on the bottom there?
Yeah, well, some of the authors, yeah, for example, in the 50 Psychology Classics, Sigmund Freud, Malcolm Gladwell, Daniel Goleman, Karen Horney, Carl Jung, Alfred Kinsey, R.D. Lang, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Jean Piaget, perhaps, yeah, and so on. Some will be ones you've heard of and some will be ones you haven't, but all of them are summarised, and he doesn't say enough that you wouldn't benefit by buying the books. Like once you read them and you go, wow, that's interesting, it makes you then want to choose which book to read. Also, and this was quite a profound one, 50 Spiritual Classics. Wow. So, yeah, there was a book in there which for me was, actually I read it and I got tears and all that. It was called Journey of Souls, and I wouldn't have even known about that.
Where was that from?
The author, or it was Dr. Michael Newton, and he was a hypnotherapist who would take people, you know, back to when they were younger and such, but then he started getting some information that seemed to be outside of their lifetime. Really fascinating. I don't know what everyone's belief systems are, but yeah, but it turned into past life stuff. So, and, you know, whether you believe in that or you just think it's their imagination, whatever it was, there was some amazing value that was coming out. And what he did in his book was like the transcript of the session, so you could just read what he was getting told, and it's really interesting. So, and you know, there's a whole lot of books. Another one, there's all the self-help classics. So there's 50 of those. So I just totally take my hat off to Tom Butler-Bowdon. He must have, I don't know how long it would take for him to read the, what's that, 6. So there's 300 books in this little stack of books, and you know, I can so easily sit down and just read a chapter, which is like reading a book. So I just think this is a really good thing if you're not sure what you want, but you know if it's self-help or it's spiritual or it's psychology, philosophy, success or prosperity. And you know, sometimes it's just that one idea that gets you, you know, where you weren't otherwise going. And then I looked up, sorry, I was just going to say one more thing. When I did a bit more research on Tom, looking to see if there are any other books, I actually found that he has written his own book, which he said after reading all of this, I saw a little video of him, he realised that a lot of the great achievements people make, it actually doesn't occur till fairly advanced into their life. You know, they might be 50, 60, 70 even, when they're really getting the profound, you know, I guess, wisdom and making the big difference that their lifetime led them to. So his own book, that isn't, you know, a summary, but just his own book, is called Never Too Late to Be Great. And that's where he explains that whole concept that if you think long term, you can achieve, you know, a lot more than you really think you can. And instead of thinking, oh no, I'm this age and I'm running out of time, it's almost the opposite. The older you get, like the more you've got potential that you can get into. So I just thought, you know, I mentioned those because it's something that if you haven't heard of them and you like to read, it can really help you get through them, and you know, be quite inspired by some of the ideas. Maybe find something else to read, and along the way, I think this guy deserves his books to be bought because of the effort he put in and his writing style. So yeah, thanks for hearing my little show and tell of books tonight. Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. Thanks everyone.